It is, making my coffee. It is Tuesday. It's early and I am tired. Too tired. We had off yesterday for President's Day on Monday. I had off, but my kids did not have off. They actually had a snow makeup day, so they were at school and I was all by myself, so I did like pretty much nothing. So making my coffee now because it is hard to get up this morning. Coffee machine is loud. And I have a training today, or I was supposed to have a training today, and I just got an email that the training was canceled because of weather. I mean, it was an online training, but the presenter must have been having internet issues or something. But I already have a sub for the day. So I just emailed my boss and asked, well, what do you want me to do? So I'm sure it'll just be like a work day. But the sub actually emailed me last night saying she couldn't do my afternoon classes because she had gotten a spot to get the vaccine. So it actually works out. So I'm going to teach my afternoon classes, but the morning classes, since I already have a sub, I will be doing some lesson planning. So I'll bring you guys along and show you what I'm doing for my Reading 7 class. We are working on a unit on informational text and media literacy. Does anyone cover media literacy with their kids? My kids have a very difficult time in figuring out what's true and what's made up. Like if they see it online, it must be true. And I teach high school, so I think it's really important that they understand that it might not be true just because their friends share it. So we are starting a unit on that. So I will bring you along for my lesson planning to show you kind of how I do that today. We're in my kitchen, which is a disaster because I actually started a renovation right before the pandemic. Great time. So all the cabinets and stuff got in, and then the pandemic hit, and I have no floors and I have no backsplash or anything. And I just haven't gotten up the energy or the courage to like have people come and do those things. So I really need to get on that now, but it feels scary to let people into my home right now. So we'll see. Hopefully that'll get done soon. But I'm gonna get this coffee going. I'm gonna wake up my other kids, get them ready for school, and then I'll meet you back. We'll do some lesson planning together. Sounds like a plan? All right, see you soon. All right, so the kids are out to school. I started laundry, I started the dishwasher, and now I'm gonna work on some lesson plans. This is the first day like off that I've had like a sub. I took an afternoon off back at the beginning of the year on my daughter's adoption day, and my supervisor covered my classes, so it wasn't a big deal. But this is the first time like I've had a substitute covering, and I'm like so stressed out, and I like want to like hop in to the class just to check, because I'm like, did she get in okay? Did she load up the PowerPoint okay? It's just really stressful. And if I was in the training, that would be occupying my time, but I'm not. So I'm obsessing about how the sub is doing with the kids, which I'm sure they are fine, but regardless, stressful. So I want to talk to you guys about my Reading 7 class. This is the highest class that I teach. It is a high school level students, but they're reading anywhere from a second to a high school level reading level. It's quite a group, but everyone in that group is socially, at a good level. Like they're able to have conversations. They comprehend really, most of them comprehend pretty well, but there are some low readers in there. This unit that we are doing is informational text. So we are actually reading this book here, Spooked. This is an awesome book. It's all about a true story, but the radio broadcast back in like the 1938, where they were doing a story about aliens invading, and it was supposed to be like a fun story, but they did it as news bulletins. So people across the country thought it was like real. They thought there was actually aliens invading. So it's a really cool book. So we're doing this. We're going to talk about informational text stuff, the different text features. But I'm also I decided to cover media literacy as well. So trying to help the kids figure out what's real, what's not when we're looking at news or looking at posts on Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat and all those social media things. So this played into that really nicely because of the storyline. So we're gonna be able to cover both of those things. So let me show you kind of what I do. First thing, we're reading a book. You'll see I've got a bunch of little note cards in here. So as I'm reading through it, I just kind of am jotting down the vocabulary words that I want to cover, the topics that kind of stand out to me, anything that just seems noteworthy, I will put it on this little index card and just stick it for that chapter so that I know kind of what I want to do as I go through. So I kind of read through the book and do that. We are actually required to turn in our lesson plans. I know. So we use a online program called Atlas where we have to write everything out, like a full lesson plan out. It's a little stressful this year because it's a lot of work, but next year it'll be a lot easier because what I really like about it is you can just copy your lessons. So that will work out really well. But before I go in there and try and write a whole lesson, I like to have kind of just a general overview of the whole unit. So I love these. These are awesome. You can get them off Amazon. I'll put the link down below there. It's just a, you can see, it's just kind of like a big blank calendar. So I use this just to plan out how my unit's gonna go. I like it because there's 5 weeks, and I usually try and make all my units 4 to 5 weeks long. Anything longer than that doesn't work out too well. So what I do is I just kind of take the month, take the next couple of weeks, and I block off any of the days. So like my blue days, this is today where I'm supposed to have a training, and I did take off on March 1st for not really much of any reason, but just to have a day off. Green I have as for our asynchronous days, so I'll send something different, and then we don't have school. We didn't have school yesterday. Friday, I always do progress monitoring. So they work in IXL for progress monitoring, and then I pull them to do fluency, to do writing samples, things like that. So I always block off Friday. That's our day to do that. It's nice because the kids, it's just kind of monotonous, so they don't have to do much, and it's Friday, and by that time the kids are done. So I took the rest of the week here, the weeks, and I just kind of jotted in what chapters I wanted to cover that day. I also jotted down like what media literacy tips I wanted to cover. So I came up with 4 tips for my kids after looking through a lot of stuff. And we last week we covered photographs. Being noticeable that photographs might be fake, they might be altered. You know, is it blatantly fake? We also, like, I had them look at photoshopped ones that you really couldn't tell that they were fake. So we discussed that sometimes even though a picture looks real, it might actually be fake. This week, our tip number 2, we are going to talk about checking the website and how some news websites are fake and they'll try and copy real ones like abcnews.co. So just checking the website, looking through the website, does it look legitimate? You know, are there other stories on there? Tip number 3 is, are others reporting it? So can you find this story somewhere else? We're gonna go over like Snopes and places like that where you can actually check as well. And then tip number 4 is going to be looking for things like capitals, grammar errors or spelling errors, looking at the dates of articles, those sorts of things. So I kind of narrowed it down to those 4 tips for media literacy that we're gonna cover. And then the other thing that we are doing is just really focusing on informational text features, like table of contents and glossary and index, and this book Spooked has all of that in it. So as we've been going through, we're just going to kind of touch base on those. What I find, and it's always the struggle, is that when I go to Teachers Pay Teachers or when I look for free resources, a lot of it is really, I don't want to say babyish, but like there's little cartoony graphics, those little, you know, little girls and little boys in the pictures. Even I found some really awesome like posters for informational text features, but they were, they had like clearly elementary level like examples. So like it was talking about like a caption, and it had like a little cartoon crayon, and then it said underneath it like a crayon, you know, talked about a crayon. And I don't like to use those for my kids. Even though most of my kids wouldn't really mind. I mean, they're high schoolers, and I try and make things as high schooly as possible. So I actually made up some informational text posters. I'm gonna put a link down there for them down below if you wanna get them for free and use them. I mean, you could use them for any age level, but they have like real examples. So let me just kind of show you what those would look like. Are the posters that I made. They're just gonna, I'll put them as a PDF down there, but we just cover table of contents, bold print, captions, glossary, index, heading, subheading, diagram, graph, timeline. So I'm gonna cover those things in this book and use those posters in my PowerPoint. So a lot of times I'll just snip like posters, graphics like that, and stick them in my PowerPoint. Works out pretty well. So let's take a look here. I will show you what this week is going to look like. The other thing that I'm focusing on during this is main idea. So we are really hitting main idea and key details hard. That's what the sub's working on them today with a whole lesson on main idea. So we're going to keep covering that as well. So here's what I have for my PowerPoint so far this week. We are going to go over the objectives, which our objectives for the unit are exploring historical events through literature, answering questions, practicing the main idea. We'll quickly review what an informational text is, and then I've got some main idea practice. They'll just use their polling tools in the classroom for ABCD practice there. There's the dog. Review chapters 1 through 5 that we read last week, and then we'll start chapter 6. Now, this time I have them read a lot out loud, the ones that can, and I usually try and have them all read. Even the ones that are lower readers, I'll just have them read a sentence or two on the mic, and I've gotten my kids really good at getting on the mic and doing that. But this text is kind of hard. They seem to be comprehending it really well. They loved the first 5 chapters we read last week, but there's a lot of difficult words in here. So I have been reading it mostly this time out loud to them. So I'll probably, they read a lot on the mic, so I don't feel too bad that this time I'm doing a lot of reading. And a lot of the kids have commented like, oh, I love that you're reading when you read us the story. So it's working out so far. I'll keep reading most of that. So we'll read through chapter 6 in our story and touch on some of those features like the pictures and the captions. The subheadings and headings are in this section a lot. And then over in the breakout room at the end of class, they'll do 2 more just main idea type questions. So they'll just read a passage and circle it. Now I will go to Vocaroo, I don't know how you pronounce it, Vocaroo, and record myself reading these passages and put the link in there for my kids who are not great readers. That way they can listen to me read it. That works out well, and it works out better than them all in their individual breakout rooms raising their hand, I need help, I need help. So I will put the link of my recording. Vocaroo is really easy. If you haven't used that yet, it's really easy to record and download the recording or get a link for the recording for the kids. So I use that all the time. It's really easy. If they get done with this, depending on how quickly we get through the reading, it usually takes us a while to read because I stop, we ask lots of questions, the kids have discussions, we do a lot of interaction. And engagement like during our reading time. So depending on how far, how long it takes us, if they have time, I usually have them get into IXL for a few minutes at the end of class. And then since we didn't have school Monday and I'm not there today, I really only have Wednesday and Thursday because Friday is the progress monitoring day. So for Thursday, we're gonna read chapter 7. And so I got chapter 7 in here. And then we're going to cover tip number 2 for our media literacy. And that is, do you recognize the source or website? So we're going to talk about that and give them some examples. So I have an example here. HIV virus detected in Walmart bananas. And it looks like it comes from CNN, but it doesn't. It's a trick. So we're going to go over that with the kids. I've got another one here, a Facebook post about deadly spiders. So again, we're just going to be talking about that and also touch on that you can go to Snopes and other places to look for that. So that's the plan. This book, Spooked, is over on Epic. So I've been trying to pick books that are on Epic so that the kids have access to them if they wanted to read them outside of class, also just so that that they have access to them so they can get them. So I will usually snip the pages and put it into my PowerPoint. I don't feel too bad about that because the kids can pull it up on their side and look through it as well. And I did buy the book. So that's how I've been working with that. So hopefully I don't get in trouble. It's for educational purposes, so hopefully we're good. But that's my plan. And then Friday we'll do progress monitoring in IXL, and I have to do fluency this week. Not all of my kids have fluency because I said a lot of them are really good readers. Some of them can read college level text, might have trouble comprehending it, but some of them can read, really well, decode really well. Other ones can't, so they have fluency goals, so I'll pull them into a breakout room and go over that. So that is my plan for the week. Down below is, I'll put that link for the for these informational text posters if you want to download them and use them in your classroom. They will be there for you. So let me know, down below how you guys cover informational text or nonfiction type books. I'm really interested in that. I find that sometimes kids think that it's not going to be fun. I personally love nonfiction. Most of the time, if I'm picking up a book, it's like to learn because I love learning. But yeah, let me know down below, how do you cover informational text with your kids? What do you do? I will catch back up with you guys later. I've got some time before my afternoon class that I am gonna teach because the sub couldn't cover that one. And then I've got a meeting with my instructional coach and with the rest of the team later this afternoon, so I'll check back in with you. So I'm ending the day right back where I started, making myself some coffee. I taught my last class that I needed to teach because the sub couldn't do it. And then I had my meeting with my instructional coach. It was like the whole team met today. The last couple of months have been really cool because for instructional coaching, we've been watching a recording from one of our other teachers in our department and then like providing feedback and getting feedback. So that was awesome because you get lots of different ideas. I love watching other people teach. I feel like that's the best way to learn for sure. So now I'm gonna make myself coffee. I'm going to have one of these delicious cinnamon rolls. Look at those. They're just glorious. That my mom brought me from Costco, so we'll see how those are. And that's it. I will catch you guys next time. Make sure that you subscribe or like so that my kids think I'm really cool, even though I am totally not. I will see you in the next one. Bye.